Yeah, I mean, for us, we're seeing two different sides of the wire transfer issues. We're seeing an increase in the number of people who are falling victim to wire transfer frauds, or at least the attempts at the wire transfer fraud. But then we're also seeing that because there's no one in the office to cut checks, more and more people are migrating to using ACH. And so therefore the threat of folks who are not used to doing ACHs as standard business processes is growing. And so the scale in which people can fall victim is growing as a response. So for example, we ourselves got maybe 3 different requests from customers or vendors to begin doing ACH transfers with them. And just in getting the emails from them, we can tell there's no process to really fight fraud. So they are coming from unknown email addresses. They're coming with odd PDF attachments. Basically everything that you would look at and say this might be suspicious. But it's being followed by known contacts saying, oh yeah, no, we're really trying to do ACH now. And we're just trying to do it quickly. So the issue there is we already have a situation where people are working from home. They're in unfamiliar territory. Security is looking like it's a bit laxer because everyone's at home and kind of the initial pensiveness of that is wearing off. And so with that, we had a upsurge in the ACH, but now we have a secondary kind of wave here being caused by the folks that are now jumping on the ACH bandwagon, and now we'll see the bad guys see that and then begin to escalate the attacks on that side as well.
So you thinking that this, I mean, there's a part of this that I think is really interesting going through people working from home is that it's sort of going to flush out lazy processes. And there's no more of, hey, Bob, can you do this for me? Hey, Bob, can I make this transfer? It's no handwritten notes. I mean, when someone's at home, it's got to be a tight, preferably electronic process.
Well, and what we're seeing now is people completely failing at that because they are so used to being able to walk down the hall and confirm that Bob said yes, or walk down the hall and confirm that it was sent. What we're witnessing is that people are actually taking those little emails or chat messages as a formal approval the same way they would have sitting across the table eyeball to eyeball and verifying who the person is by staring at them. And so what we see there is that the processes are actually weakening because they were never used to a decent process to begin with. And so one of the big things that we're telling people, there are technological solutions for things like ACH wire transfer fraud, but there's also key just standard human processes that should be in place by now that aren't. However, one of the big problems there is a normal process is going to be a phone call verification. Right? So someone sends an email that says, here's our new ACH, call the standard number so that we can verify it. Someone calls. However, no one's at work right now. So not everyone has a really good work from home solution for their phone calls. So now those phone calls are potentially going to dead air or to someone who doesn't know what they're talking about or to someone who's covering a phone number and doesn't really know the answer and they just give the answer of, well, yeah, that sounds right, go ahead. Right, and that's of course not really a validation. That's whoever got tasked with answering the phone at the moment. So that business process side of the fence is really suffering right now. And so, we like to recommend that people ensure that if they are going to do the ACH wire transfer, that they have information about that on the website, that they have very solid processes in terms of notifying customers on their invoices, what their methodology is for changing ACH numbers, and then stick with it. Exceptions are what allow the bad guys to get away with things. So whenever people are allowed to make an exception or create basically a large gap or risk point to do a favor for someone, that's really where the bad guys pounce. Because with ACH wire transfer fraud, most of the time it really starts with an account takeover or a business email attack. And because they're in there, it means they're watching the communication, so they know when to pounce and they know when to strike on it.
Okay, that makes sense now.